How's it going? So my buddy doesn't follow baseball too closely, but he watches when the Yankees play the Mets. And he texted me this weekend. He says, "Hey DL," I should probably change it to IL now that I cover the Yankees. "Hey DL, how do you feel about the Yankees versus Mets this weekend?" And I said, well, Stanton is hurt, Severino's hurt, DJ LeMahieu is hurt, Zach Britton is hurt, Tommy Kahnle is hurt, Gleyber Torres is hurt, Judge was hurt, then he was better, and now he's hurt again. And to top it off, the Yankees have lost 5 in a row and are now 2.5 games out of first place. But still, I woke up excited for baseball. So how do I feel about this weekend?
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
How's it going, everybody? So on Wednesday's pregame show, I did a little bit of a trade deadline spectacular where I looked at some of the guys that the Yankees might be interested in trading for. And one of those guys was Mike Clevinger, who's had a bit of a rocky relationship with the Indians and his teammates this year because he broke protocol. He was exiled from the team, but all reports are that the Indians are willing to move him, even though he's a great pitcher. So this seems like the type of guy that the Yankees would take a chance on. And for the first time, I saw a report out of Cleveland that connected him with the New York Yankees. So I'm going to play a little bit of a clip from that, and then we'll talk about it.
Brian Cashman has been in talks with the Indians about possibly making a trade. The Yankees' biggest need right now is pitching, and the Indians' biggest need right now is they need bats in the outfield. So Joel Sherman of New York Post laid out a potential trade option that the Indians and Yankees can pursue. For the Indians, they would get either Clint Frazier, Miguel Andujar, or both of them, as well as Deivi Garcia, and the Yankees would receive Mike Clevinger. Now, Clint Frazier, we know he's been with the Indians before. He's in his 4th MLB season, 25 years old. This season, he's only appeared in 8 games so far. He's batting .333, hit 2 home runs and 8 RBIs. His best season with the Yankees was last year. He hit .267, 12 home runs, 38 RBIs in 69 games. And we know he was part of the Andrew Miller deal back in a few years ago. Now, Miguel Andujar, he's played third base, and he's also an outfielder. He's played left field as well. He's 25 years old in his 4th MLB season. Now, he missed 2019 with a right shoulder strain. And this season, he struggled out of the gate. He's hitting .095 with just 2 hits in 8 games. So he's been optioned to the alternate training site. But if he could return to form from 2018, he could be pretty good. He hit .297, 27 home runs, and 92 RBIs. Now, the prospect in this deal would be Deivi Garcia. He's a right-handed pitcher, only 21 years old, but he rose through the ranks in the minor leagues last year, all the way up to AAA, and he's the Yankees' 3rd-ranked prospect. So Les, Bud, want to see, what do you guys think of possibly trading Mike Clevinger, and what do you guys think of that deal?
If I'm going to do that, I got to get a big league bat ready to play right now.
So first of all, how is that guy on TV and I'm not? That guy was like the human version of plain toast. So that dude at the end said you got to get a major league bat ready. I think you got a major league bat in Clint Frazier. I mean, the dude is just crushing the ball. I mean, he slowed down a bit, but he's a major league bat. But I still think that might be a bit too much to trade. You know, Deivi Garcia is a big-time pitching prospect, unless he's somebody that the Yankees feel that they hyped up. You know, Justice Sheffield was supposed to be a big-time Yankees pitching prospect too, and they dealt him for James Paxton, and he hasn't really done anything. So I feel like the Yankees understand their prospects pretty well. Very rarely anymore do they trade away somebody who becomes a star. They seem to understand, you know, what they have in their inventory, and they're only willing to deal from areas where they feel they're already strong. But, you know, dealing Clint Frazier and Miguel Andujar and Deivi Garcia, for Mike Clevinger, I mean, Clevinger's a good pitcher, and this might get you over the top for the World Series, but that's 2 bats at a time when the Yankees are down several bats. You know, these are guys who make contact. Clint Frazier and Miguel Andujar. Now, Andujar, yes, he's had a bad year. I'm not fully convinced he's ever going to return to form after that shoulder surgery, but if he does, he's the type of hitter that you want on your team because he makes contact. He's a situational guy. And Clint Frazier, let's just face it, the guy can rake. He hits the ball to all fields. He uses right field well at Yankee Stadium, which is going to help. And then if you hang one inside, he can hit it 450 feet to left field. And he's just got that swagger. You know, he's like they say in Moneyball.
Kind of guy walks into a room, his dick has already been there for 2 minutes.
Speaking of walking into a room, Deivi Garcia and Clark Schmidt are likely to walk into the Yankees clubhouse this weekend. Now, the Yankees have 5 games in 3 days, but 4 of those games will be 7 innings. So, you know, you don't need to really pile on the pitchers, but you do need starters. And it would be good to have guys like Clark Schmidt and Deivi Garcia go 5 or 6 innings and eat up some space this weekend. Now, if the Yankees do make these moves and call these guys up, there will have to be some kind of a corresponding 40-man roster move. So somebody could be dealt, somebody could be released. They have a few guys that they could release. They have a few guys that they could put on the 60-day IL. Severino, I think, might be already on the 60-day IL, but if he's not, they could certainly switch him over because he won't be back this year. Tommy Kahnle also could be switched over to the 60-day IL. Maybe even Kyle Higashioka. You know, he's missed quite a bit of time, and there's no telling when he's going to be back. Those oblique injuries can be really tough. And are you really going to bring him back with, you know, a week left in the season when Eric Kratz has played as your backup for pretty much the entire year? I don't know. I don't think so. Of the 2 pitchers, I've been way more impressed with Clark Schmidt than I was with Deivi Garcia. Now, Deivi Garcia last year, when he pitched in the Futures game, I was hella impressed. He was dynamite in that game. He was electric. He was 96, 97 with a hammer of a curveball. But when we saw him in the preseason, I guess it was an intra-squad game, he didn't look good. And he was throwing 91, 92 miles an hour. He was missing with a lot of spots. His mechanics looked kind of out of whack. So I wasn't super impressed with Deivi Garcia. Now, obviously, he's had more time to stretch out down at the alternate site, so there's no telling how he's looking. He could be throwing hard again. But I figured he would have more adrenaline pitching in Yankee Stadium for the first time, and it just wasn't the case. Clark Schmidt, though, looked fantastic when he pitched against the Yankees A lineup during the intra-squad games. During spring training, I thought his mechanics were a bit out of whack. He kind of opens up to the front side, which can kind of drop his arm out of the slot that he wants to be in, I think, and kind of make him miss to the arm side away. You know, that arm, once it drops down to that 3/4 part of your, 3/4 angle, and you open up with that front side, it can cause you to miss kind of up and away. And we saw a lot of that this spring training. But he looked much better when he reported for the scrimmage games. Everything that I've heard is this kid works very, very hard. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him pitch. I think he has potential to fill that spot in the rotation that eventually is going to be vacated by J. Happ. So this might be his audition this season. First chance. Let's see how it goes. So Mark Teixeira had an interesting call yesterday into the Michael Kay show. He said that the Yankees are not going to be caught from behind by any of these teams in their division, and I agree. Even if they finish in second place, maybe even third place, they still make the playoffs because of the way that baseball has expanded the postseason this year. And so the Yankees really just need to be healthy going into the postseason, and then it doesn't matter really where you play because of the home field advantage situation, no fans in the stands. Also, there's another piece to that, and I'll get to it in a second. Really, the Yankees can beat anybody if healthy going into the postseason. So I feel like they're just kind of playing the long game, you know, just trying to get everybody healthy, be extra cautious with their injuries. Obviously, you want to win. You want to be the number 1 seed. You want home field advantage, but not at the cost of not being healthy for the postseason. Now, when it comes to home field advantage, MLB is likely going to do a bubble city for the postseason, much as the NBA has done. And by the way, I know a lot of you probably want me to talk about the protests and stuff like that around baseball, around sports. I'm not going to. I want to talk about baseball. I am an expert in baseball. At least I consider myself an expert in baseball. I am not an expert in social justice or policing or racial relations or any of that stuff. And I don't like to talk about things that I don't know about that could have real implications. So I'm just going to stay silent on that and say that I just want everybody to get along. Now, back to the bubble city. A couple months ago, Cuomo, maybe even like less than that, probably a month ago, Governor Cuomo in New York invited Major League Baseball to come play in New York. And I feel like New York could be the bubble city. So the Yankees could be playing with home field advantage, even if they don't have home field advantage, which would be odd. But hey, you'll take it. I feel like the Yankees recognized this, and they became the first stadium that's been approved to host fans. So if you want to bring fans in for the postseason, make it a little bit more exciting, you can do that. So Yankee Stadium got out ahead of everyone else and has made their stadium safe for fans. I think they're still going to have a limited number of fans. I think it was up to like 15,000 or something like that. So we'll see how that works out. But I feel good about, if the Yankees have to play in the postseason, a bubble city in Yankee Stadium, it could be worse. Play the American League games in Yankee Stadium, play the National League games in Citi Field. I mean, you're going to see some home runs there in the American League. I mean, everybody playing in Yankee Stadium. That'll make for an exciting postseason. And you put some fans back in, I think that's Major League Baseball's ultimate goal, is to have fans in the stands for the postseason and really make it exciting. On the mound tonight, Jordan Montgomery in Game 1. He is 2-1 with a 4.66 ERA this year in 4 starts, 19 and a third innings pitched, 14 strikeouts, just 3 walks. He looked really good against the Mets in his first, scrimmage game, whatever you want to call it. And so far in his career, in 40 games started, he is 13-8 with a 3.98 ERA, so he is a legitimate starter. He's a guy who throws at the same speed as Ian Anderson we saw the other day, 94, 95 miles an hour, but from the left side at, 6'6", and straight downhill with a wicked curveball. I think people really underestimate Jordan Montgomery as a pitcher. He has ace potential. And so far this year, he's pitched okay. 4.66 ERA is not great, but really it's one bad start that's got him, a couple of bad pitches. He's given up 3 home runs in 19 innings. So certainly not great, but, we've seen that a lot. We've seen guys on our staff giving up home runs. We play in a home run ballpark. He's got a 1.086 whip, or walks and hits per innings pitched. That's really good. So you want to keep it around 1 if possible, or less. So hard to score if you're just giving up, 1 base runner per inning. So I will see you for the the post-game shows after each of the games tonight with highlights and analysis. The first game will probably have more highlights than analysis, and then the second game will have more analysis than highlights, or probably more analysis and equal highlights, just because I want to wrap up that first one in between games real quick, so that way I can get started on game 2. So I will see you then. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Hey guys, help support the podcast by buying swag from my store. Link is in the description.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It helps YouTube suggest this channel to other Yankees fans.